Hello and welcome to the Aaron Roussos podcast. Today's episode is a little bit of an explanation of the concept of time here in the 3D linear reality, but more so leading to why we don't have much growth. And sometimes many of the bigger things that we need for continuous improvement as human beings on Earth, the growth takes longer periods of time and also generations. There's some things that take generations to fix. We've all heard that saying, what is it, generational curses. I've come here to break the generational curses. You know, the last couple of generations in my family all lived in the same area, all had the same belief systems, all were limited by the fear, by the propaganda, by the lives that they'd lead and they'd let absorb into them through their senses. But especially lately, we've had a lot of people that are breaking the generational curses. Those families, we're all getting out of the cycles. We're, identifying dysfunctional behavior and relationships and just leaving them behind. It's like there's a whole lot of language and sayings around all of these things as well. And one of the ones you might have heard is, we're not anything that doesn't serve us anymore. We're leaving that behind. And it's just a little bit of a way of saying I'm moving on to something better. So time is only here on the planet, and while some of the time mechanics, like the 24-hour clock and things like that, do fit into the universe, as far on a, you probably don't understand, but on a larger scale, the push-pull energy of the universe is 24, 12, 6, so all these numbers have energy as well. And so we do have, some relation to the cycles and things that are going on, and we've sort of made a man-made thing of time and fit that in there. And we've had different things and different people come, like even Jesus himself was he was someone who came to Earth and changed how we looked at time. And probably at the time, didn't really realise it then, and even for a few years after, maybe 300 years after, they sort of looked at time as before Christ and after Christ. So we've never had anyone else affect the actual time that we have. And so I guess if we need to look at, the two possible places we can be, and that's here and there. And there being when we die corporally and we just go back into energetic spirit state. There is no time. There is, if you had to look at how they would gauge things, it would be doing and done. And so therefore there's no rush to beat the clock. There's no rush in like if you had to do something over there, it would be done with no time in mind at all, which means you would give it all the time. So there's no time, but I'm saying there's over there, you would give it every opportunity to succeed. So there wouldn't be any failure. It wouldn't be the duality that you have here on Earth. You would form a knowing, and it's a core truth, and everything would be known. Everything is possibly there for us to be known. There is a mathematical formula to everything, no matter whether it's spiritual. Physics applies to spiritual things, and also the realms of spirituality. You know, there's laws in this universe, and the laws, some of them cross over. And so we don't know this yet. As like little humans in our infancy, we're like little kindergarten kids actually here. On Earth, we think we've got it all worked out, but we are really in a very early stage of, you know, what is known. And it makes sense when you look at it from a bigger picture. You know, when you span out and look at the system that we're part of, and I've spoken in depth about how to heal something that's called incurable, you have to work out what's causing it first. That helps. To work out something that's happening in this life, we need to understand the system we're part of and how we work. Okay? Now, humans at the moment, in our infancy, we don't do that. So, you know, that is one indicator that it's gonna, you know, we're at a very early stage. You know, and at the end of the day, the reason why we don't do anything is because we don't know how. So there needs to be someone else that can show us how, or can provide, you know, things. And I've been very blessed in this lifetime to meet some of the most amazing people that have sort of accelerated me on this trajectory. And, you know, one was Mark Gruner, the numerologist. But I've had other leaders in business that have really, you know, where it comes to, you know, things where I didn't know were possible, they had done it before on a bigger scale, and I learnt an immense amount from that. And even just in my own little, you know, profession as well. Like you know, I started off as a chef, and I might have, you know, worked, you know, 15 years, and I went to work with a guy once who had worked at some amazing places and Michelin star places, and I learned more in that 3 months than I had in the previous 15 years. All the cuts were different, all the way he did things were different, the product came, you know, the presentation, the way he did business and handled himself from a position of wanting to, you know, get the best possible product to create an emotional response with food was next level. Now, I didn't think there was that possibility of learning so much in a short time, but it also makes you feel good when you're learning and doing things. But here on Earth, that ability, that opportunity, doesn't present itself all the time. And if you look at most of us, we are, you know, the reason why everyone's not waking up at a such, and when I talk about awakening, I'm talking about understanding who we are and knowing more about why we're here and what the system is and how our bodies work. And the reason why we're not learning more and faster, even though we have time, which is speeding things up for us here on Earth, because if someone here on Earth says, I want something, they really mean now or very soon, or, you know what I mean? They don't mean when it's ready, when it's fully, you know, like over the veil. They go, when it's fully going to always hit its mark and be successful, we'll let it marinate, we'll think it, because the universe loves you unconditionally. And so therefore it gives you things early to make sure that you have every opportunity to make that a success. It only knows knowing. It doesn't know duality, so it doesn't know failure. And so therefore everything that it gives you is to ensure that it's a success. And so that alone, just that one simple little thing of alone, is why people get frustrated here in the 3D linear trying to deal with spiritual stuff that just doesn't hit the way that the logical mind wants it to here. And then we have our biology, we have human conditioning, and we have free will. See all the elements? And they're all going in different directions. And they're all pushing and pulling, and then throw in an economic system to rattle the cage. And so we find ourselves then, giving certain time to certain projects, to certain things to get certain places. And some of these places are not what our soul was designed to do, but more so what the culture and the system here on Earth, being an economic system, is all about, to keep the so-called, planet moving. But in that time, and within all those things that we have here on Earth, the change, like I said in the beginning, sometimes takes generations. And if you look at most human beings' lives, as generally, we don't find huge amounts of change. So you're only going to get growth through change. If you don't change, you don't get growth. It's simple as that. And so we, through that, change is also very traumatic for most human beings. And I find that from even a basic, in the workplace. Someone's been working at this job for 10, 15 years, and I come in and I go, right, I'm going to change it up. And they're just like, they get frustrated. They've found their little comfort zone in doing things the same way. And it's like I'm actually trying to cut their arm off and take a limb. It's very traumatic. Change is traumatic to most human beings that have got into a bit of a comfort, because, we all look out there and go, all right, if this is life, I'm going to get into my little, I'm going to find my comfort. I'm going to find my dysfunction. I'm going to find a level which I can bear it, and I can live, and I can operate. And to then, it's not designed to come for people like me to come in and shake it up and change it and turn it on its head and reveal new things and take you on another journey. It's designed to feed the economic systems. It's designed to market to your biology, to do things while you're here now. It's not designed to make you realize how amazing you are. And so that's why it takes so long. I say that it's all about slow, uncomfortable change. And we do have accelerated times of shift, but even that is nowhere near the potential of how fast we could grow if we gave it the right attention and the right energy to focus on that change within itself. And there are also levels that we need to go through here on Earth to get to that change, or get to an accelerated change. There are different processing times, because when you're humanly conditioned to one thing, we are like computers. You can't just go and we have a certain gigabyte storage system. Now, we don't want to corrupt the system by just putting a system over a system over a system. So we need to wipe the computer of that doesn't serve us anymore, right? So you've got this computer that goes, all right, I want to move into this next chapter of my life, which has to do with change and stuff. But I've been conditioned with all of this stuff. And we're all individuals, right? So each person's individual processing time to either clear it or to process new stuff is all different. It takes different varying levels, and we're all on different paths. We're all on different quests. We've all had different experiences, and all those experiences determine what our theme, what we're up to, what we like, what we would like to help, with humanity. You might have been pushed around and bullied, and those people will always be come through and learn from that and be a voice for those people, and be a champion for fairness and equality. And so we're all multidimensional, moving in different lots of ways, but we're continually moving forward. There is that perpetual motion, and that's not just with our biological timeline, that's also with our soul timeline. And so to understand the mechanics of it all is amazing, but when you look at it, you would realize that it is so slow, that whole process, that whole thing, some of the things that I now look at that are sort of broken systems or cracks where beautiful human beings can fall through the cracks and not be captured in this whole thing we call life. Some of the things I've got to look at and go, wow, this could take generations. And that's the fact. I'm talking from a place of my experience, okay? You're listening from a place of your experience. And nothing right or wrong. A lot of the stuff is just the way it is, and we need to accept that and go from here. And where I am at the moment, which is back in a place where I grew up as a small child, there are a lot of people that are still here from when I was a small child. Now, if I look back at the places that I've been, lived, things that I've done, traveled to, experiences, all the rest of it, I may have captured maybe a lot more change and a lot more growth than the people that had stayed here and had a what we call a normal life, or what you all call a normal life. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, you don't know any better. Your family have done it. You see it. It's on TV. You're part of that system. And as I say, there's nothing wrong with that. And I will be 100% honest with you. Most of my friends that I grew up with that I see having that life, I have been jealous, I guess. I have been envious of them having that stability, that continuous family support, love. You know what I mean? There's good and bad for every I guess person's journey. But me having so much change and being ripped from post to pillar, and having to make new friends, and having to start so many jobs and new places, new surroundings. You know what it's like when you've been in one house. I realised this once, because I did stay in some places for a bit longer when I had a corporate job or a family. And when I had to move house, it became traumatic. You have to pick up this whole house and move it somewhere else. And the memories and the energy, and you feel lost. It's a very unsettling thing. And, we've all seen the reports, and things have been proven with this sort of stuff. And so could you imagine doing that every week, every month, every year? And there's this grieving process that you go through. And so it's not a comfortable space, right? We've never been, as a society, no matter where you live around the world, in this stage of development as human beings, we have never been in a position where we've gone that uncomfortable feeling that we sit in is good. Okay, now I've since presented different things about how to transmute those negative feelings and emotions and energies and stuff by sitting in the pain. But that's more so with, fears, insecurities, wounds, traumas. But the similar thing can be done, and then, you transmute those as well. But we've never been taught that we can get rid of those unsettling feelings and emotions that really do, we don't want to be part of it. We have to, if we have to go through it, every 10, 20 years or whatever, but to actually, to not sit in it. We've never been taught to write it out and how to transmute it. And there's going to be no one, or very little people anyway, that have had the amount of change that I've had in my life to be able to get to the point to be able to share with you the things that I do. And everything that I'm sharing with you is just everything that a human being has. I'm not recreating the wheel. It's everything that's already within you. It's already a system that we're already in. It's just that we've never really understood the system that we're part of. We've never really understood how our human body in a holistic sense works. And I guess it's been through that amount of change that no one else has seen, where I've gone, wow, okay. And I'll be honest with you, I've never seen it while I'm going through it. It's always with hindsight in the rearview mirror. I've gone, oh, that's what I just did. Oh, that's what just happened. And then I can apply it again more actively. But guess what? I'm human as well. I still, ride the roller coaster of emotions and feelings and thing. I'm not a miracle worker that has it all worked out. I'm a work in progress, and the reason why I got into this place in the whole first place was only about 7.5 years ago. I did something that no one else on the planet has ever done, the greatest discovery of our time. And what happens is when you find one truth about our human existence that is so profound, you have a different filter to which you go out and see the world. And then you find another. And then you test it and you go, wow. And then you see another and you see another and you see another. And you start working out that the system we're part of was to work it out. It was to master our experience here. That's why, a guy like Jesus, they call him a master. He mastered being a human being on the planet Earth. He mastered, he could do it better than anyone else. You don't, as part of the history or the history you were sold or given in a package, in a box, you were told that, Jesus did this and, did perform this miracle, did that. There was no talk of the age of 13 or to 30 or something where he was gone missing. There's nothing where he was traveling all the way around the world, sitting with all different types of tribes, leaders, spiritual groups, religions, all of them. He wasn't someone who stuck to his group. He was someone that was open to everything, closed to nothing, and loved and appreciated the very diversity in every single group on the planet. And at a level of human, sat down and was able to share with them and learn from them all. And so I guess in doing so, he created a huge amount of change, and he also learned how to master this experience, how to be in control of it. Because when you're in control, he got to a very high level. I must admit, there's been very little that I have seen get to those levels on Earth, but there has been pockets and pieces of people all around the world, and globally the network is more exposed now with the World Wide Web, the Special Information Highway and things like that. And there are still those miracles going on in bits and pieces, but in the past, and in the very recent past, those people, those witch doctors, those people that were, would be cast and a witch hunt is because people that were doing paranormal things that we couldn't explain as a collective, we hunted them down and killed them because they were so different. So we're still coming out of lots of, generational hurt from things like that, from things that we couldn't understand, that we're thinking, we're all on this journey. The change in itself, I guess, can be seen when you stop and you observe and you study and you look and you don't rush and everything in life commands us to get up and go faster and be somewhere, and it's quite distracting. It's something that some of the displaced people that I've met, even traveling around the last year, it's like, if you don't want to be part of this system you're born into, with the economic system and the way it works, there's no alternative, right? There is no, we don't have any alternative. And it must be very hard for people that can't handle this life, whether it be for whatever reason. There's lots of different reasons why people can't handle it here, but it's not even okay culturally or within the community to say, look, I'm struggling, I need some time out. You've still got to be part of the system. You can't just go, I'm going to not do life for a while, and really just, I guess a lot of the indigenous people do still have that connection to their ancestors through that. They go walkabout, or, they can't handle something. And I've lived and worked with a lot of indigenous people in Australia in different places. And they just, or they get sick and they just put swag on and they go out bush. And so they do, but they've got other survival things, and their ancestors have been passing down song lines, and they are really the ultimate spiritual people. And I've said before how amazing that the indigenous people are the original spiritual people on the planet, but yet the most marginalized and the most thought of as not that. And it's not really fair here, because they're probably ones that could probably teach us a little bit more than Thingo, but we're not open and receptive to that, because there's been a whole narrative and there's been a whole government and all these other things have sort of completely and utterly robbed them of their own sovereignty. And it's because we didn't understand what was going on. So to be an agent of change, obviously the depths of change and things that I've jumped into and dived into are way too extreme for you to battle, but there is a way that we can consistently continue. We can have a foot in this world, and we can have a foot in the next world, and we can move on, and we can just do small things, because obviously, the whole world's already designed not for us to have the time, the energy. It's pretty consuming to be part of this world, but we can have small amounts of continual improvement through just doing what is called self-development for a human being, learning a little bit more, going on, and you'll unlock certain things, you'll tick boxes, you'll move forward, having a little bit of knowledge each time, and it'll make a huge difference to your life in not just awareness and consciousness and what you know about life. It'll also make it a difference to the challenges in what you might call karma, if you know what that word means, or if you don't, just say like karma is, look at it as different challenges and things that go wrong in your life, or speed humps, or things beyond your control. Do you know what I mean? When you go in and you're like, fuck, why is it so hard? And that's when people go looking for their divinity, right? Or they go looking for something else. It's part of life to awaken. We all have a spiritual journey. Even the people that have no belief in it, even like me 7.5 years ago, before I was spiritual in any way, I would have so many challenges and so many speed humps and so many things to overcome, because we all get a spiritual journey. It's just whether we embrace it, we use it, and we learn from it. And anything that is a life lesson that keeps presenting to us and we don't learn it, it stays there until we learn it. And then it's amazing. I had things for 20 years, right, at this stage, and I learned them and they went away. I've never had to deal with them again. And so by just that little bit of continuous change and improvement in your life, then I'm just talking about the internal, about you, no one else, no one going to anyone else, just you being curious, you asking questions, you going out and using your emotional guidance system and your attention and where your interests go, and really simple stuff really makes a huge impact on your life, because that spiritual journey that you're part of, which presents those speed humps and those challenges in front of you, the longer you don't address them, the louder they get. Some of the loudest ones are what we call near-death experiences, because they enact and they draw out a huge amount of compassion, kindness, love, that would have normally not been expressed by the people around you ever in a lifetime if you did not have that near-death experience. And if you understand that the end game on this planet for all of us is ascended planets, that is for us to graduate, is what we call harmony, which is balance, right? At the moment, we're very unbalanced human beings collectively. And whatever you think, if you know, there's always these people that through conditioning and culture go, oh, I'm balanced, I've got my shit together, I'm cool, I've got this and I don't have that and I don't have that. There's always levels. There's always someone smarter, there's always someone faster, there's always someone that can rise to bigger heights. We're living in an infinity construct, and that's where we run into problems, where we think we know what we're talking about. I talking to you probably with, you know, the most amount of understanding of us, the system we're part of and everything, and I've got a track record of proof in that. So I've tested some things and I have cured incurable diseases, and I have got answers to things that no one on the planet has ever got before. And you can test any of the things that I say to you. I provide it all open and transparently, everything, and then you can see for your very own eyes. So I'm not, you know, but I still wake up every day and say, I know nothing. I am the problem. I don't have pride, I don't have ego, I don't have, well, I do have them all, but just in a very safe level. And so don't ever think that you are a balanced person. There is a much better next level to go to. And even me sharing this with you, I am so unbalanced, it's not funny. I've just recently given up addictions that I've had for my whole life. I'm still learning new things. I'm nowhere near balanced. And I've had all this change of probably, you know, I don't want to put numbers on things, but the equivalent of maybe a few lifetimes in one. More lifetimes in one lifetime than the average collective person on Earth. And I'm still completely unbalanced. So you don't have it together. You're not balanced. And if you think you are and you want to be, then you're now part of the problem. And the more you think that, the more you turn away from that continuous improvement, the more you don't look at other parts of your being as far as the spirituality and the mentalism, the more the lessons get louder, the more the universe as a form of energy gives you biofeedback and just makes these louder and louder and louder and louder. It's going to keep happening until you listen. People don't understand this part of it. People can't see. You got to remember, I was someone that used to have the loudest lessons to a point where I was given traumas that no medical specialist in the world over 20 years could fix these traumas within me. The worst of the worst. Excruciating pain. Living with, you know, these things that it just makes you can't escape. It's like chronic pain. You can't escape it and you don't want to be here anymore. If you have to wake up and this is your life for the rest of your existence here on life, you don't want to be here. That was me being shown by the universe that I need to wake up to something far greater. And if I didn't, then that's what you got. It's not that hard, really, when you think about it. But once again, the only reason a human being does anything is if they know how to. And none of you have been, there's lots of chapters in my book that are all pieces and parts of this, okay? When I'm teaching you about your own very existence, I'm not asking you to go to chapter 1 to 10 and go through all these things. I'm asking you to consume a huge body of understanding that can be tested and things can be tried and you can see them for yourself and build up in confidence of this spiritual side of yourself. But what also happens is there's tools and mechanics within it that provide you with everything you need along the way. I haven't spent $1 on my spiritual journey. And so there's a section in the book called Synchronicity, and it explains how synchronicity brings that which you need right in front of you at the right time, in the right place, for you to be able to get an answer about your own life, and then, or help you answer a question, or help you with something that is a challenge. You're doing it every day now unconsciously, not knowing it, and calling it luck, or calling it, wow, isn't that person always, or, you know, the immense amount of willpower and determination you use on stuff. But it's really just impressing on the universe that you want this thing. And so I let you know the mechanics of it so that you can do it in your own life and go, oh, I've hit a bit of a roadblock, I've got this lesson, and just how to use a practical application to go, I want to know how this works. And then you just release it, you go about your day, and things come in your path, answers drop in your phone. You know how like there's that part of, you know, the new phones where you're talking about a subject and they listen to you and then the ads come up for it? That's what it is. It's just the universal model of that. You're talking about something, you're saying to the universe, I really want to, you know, get over this thing, but I don't know how. And then synchronicity, the law of synchronicity, you go out and you go about your day work, and all the things to answer your question, to help you, present in front of you. And sometimes they're pieces of the puzzle, sometimes they're the answer. depending on how big it is, right? Energy and things that we're after, just like with manifesting, which is basically just a form of praying, which we're all doing it wrong. Manifesting in itself, it makes sense, right? If it's a little thing, it's going to take little time. If it's a big thing, it might take a lot of time. And as I said to you, and I alluded to it, one part of it, that little part of the universe that with all the things that are coming to you, you have the ability to then use them, and it's not woo-woo, and it's not hard, and it's not complicated. And I know where you're sitting listening to this right now, and I say that because I just had a thought, and sometimes I get intuitive thought, and sometimes I get inspired thought. I get different things downloading. Where you have a pineal gland that's like a pineal gland that's like a transmitter. You have a higher self. If you build a bridge between them, that is a bridge that goes straight to source energy, right? And so they can drop things in. And so when I was, presented with information like I'm presenting to you now, it became a little bit overwhelming, and I went, because in your 3D linear brain is going, I want to do it now, and as I moved along, and I've said this many a time, much of the stuff was in hindsight. I had to go through it and then get on the other side. Everything was better, and then I looked back and went, wow, okay. And the most amazing thing about this, everything, is that, and I think there's a famous quote by some amazing human beings, and it basically was saying that the secrets to the universe will be found in the simplicity of it all, not the complexity. And that's what I've found. And it's amazing. Well, I'm on my journey, I'll find that out as well. And then I see the meme or the whatever, and I'm like, yeah, spot on. And so you might be sitting there going, too big, overwhelming, too hard, blah, blah, blah. But it's a little bit of a reversed engineering way of learning or looking at life. It's like, you know what I mean? I healed myself not by anything that a doctor could do or would do. I just went, what is the system we're dealing with? Okay. What is its highest state? Homeostasis. Can I get the disease I've got right now in homeostasis? No, it's impossible. Okay, how do I get my lowered state now to that state of homeostasis, and do a plan and reverse engineer it to that? Test it. Yep, it works. Yeah. Discovery, biggest discovery on earth. Bang. It's that simple, but it's not the way that we're taught to think at school. Everything we're taught is packaged and put in a box, and the boxes that we're presented are quite separate, and things are quite separated out. And so when I'm putting it together, I'm going, I need to put something from this box and that box and that box into this new plan. Now, life would never bring boxes together, because the doctor doesn't learn nutrition, and nutritionist doesn't learn the natural allopathic medicine, and so they don't interact together. It's not a multidisciplinary life that has the betterment of humanity and their health in mind. It's an economic system, right? It's driving dollar, and dollars drives corruption, and every single place where there is money that can be legally, not ethically, funneled out and taken is subject to corruption. It's a fact. I'm not talking about woo-woo. I'm not talking about things. I've seen it with my own very eyes, and that's the thing that for 7.5 years, me presenting all these things to many people, and some of the smartest people on earth, no one has ever turned around and gone, Aaron, you're full of shit, because I've seen and done and experienced everything, and nothing is my opinion. And so therefore they end up going, oh, it's too hard, my brain doesn't. And I'm like, dude, you're the smartest person, one of the smartest person in the world, and you're saying to me you can't get my stuff just because it's so I get that there's a bit of overwhelm. I get that it's not the way you do things, but like everything that I have discovered, you've got to go through that little bit of uncomfortability. You've got to, it's like learning a guitar. This guy, my numerologist guy, he said to me, you got musical talent, not appreciation. Or I said, I love music. He goes, no, you can play. And I said, mate, I can't even bang two sticks together. Now, I bought a guitar in Fortitude Valley in early 90s. And I went on a road trip. And obviously I was a lot of places I had nothing to do. I'd be in a cabin, in the woods, in a place in the middle of nowhere. And I'd start the tedious process of learning how to play guitar from things like YouTube or a chord book. And I'd just be like, all right, that's D. And going through and practicing D and D and D. And then I get two chords. And then I make a song with two chords. And this is like 3 months has gone by, and then I go, oh, another chord. Oh, that sounds cool. I like that. And I'm going to do one of these power chords. And I was like, whoa, that takes a lot of thing to go from that to that. And so I've got to do, like when you're learning anything, you've got to do it 1,000 times. And eventually you become a musician. And when you play it now, the music flows through you. It's frequency. It's amazing. It's a beautiful feeling. It's an expression, right? It's another form of expression. But when you were learning it, it wasn't that fun, right? It was a bit overwhelming, and sometimes you just go, oh, too much, and put it down that day. And this stuff is different to what I'm talking about. When you get to a higher level of what I'm talking about, and so my last few years, I then had to go, all right, what am I scared of? Where's the fear got into me in my life? And what is, because fear gets into you and you don't know that you're fearful, or, we're these biological creatures. It's quite amazing what gets in, and it's not an addiction, it's just a conditioning. We're used to it, and we also would, so understanding how we work and stuff, and then to transmute fears, wounds, traumas, insecurities even. I had to go and face them head on. Now, for all of my life, for 30 years or more, people, you've heard the saying, face your fears. But then to actually take it to more higher levels and to sit in those fears and understand why they're happening, where they're from, and then going, what am I actually fearful? Oh, I'm fearful of this and that and ghosts and dark, and then to go and work out what all of those things are. And to drop that fear empowers you again, and you're on a completely new level. But I still had to go through the process of that uncomfortability, and then not like where I was as a human being, kicking and screaming as I go along. And then I come through it on the other side and I go, oh, wow, I'm glad that's over, but also I'm glad I went through it, because all my life I've been going around it. Going, I'm not going to give it time. I'm not going to give it energy. I'm not going to go there because it's too painful, or I haven't got the time, or, there's more reasons why you don't do something than why you do something. So, and then the last, go and hire again. Go and sit in silence in the middle of nowhere with nothing and nobody but you, Mother Nature, and the creator of the universe. There may be guides, but even then, it's some sort of purification. It's some sort of forming of a diamond, pressure in the silence. You know what I mean? You're in the middle of nowhere with nothing and no one, and you feel the weight of everything. It's just And that's just another level again. We just keep going and going and going and going. And the reason why I just told you that last bit is that as part of it all, when you get to a certain stage where you are on that, say you really have a calling to want to do some continual thing about working out who you are and some further truths and stuff, not as a conspiracy theorist, it's not about that, because that's not a very nice energy. That's about you trying to push your truth and do all these things that are against the loving side of life, and there's things in my book of going, all right, use this as a filter. Is it loving? Is it done in a loving way? Is it, and there's things that, are different, will keep you in check. And the thing is that we have to actually go back in some form. We have to shed, like what I was saying with the deep, clearing the computer. We have to shed that stuff that we've been humanly conditioned, that we have no proof of, that we don't even know if it's true, and we have to get rid of that human conditioning because it's affecting us on a daily basis. We take all everything in through our five senses, so we might see off to the side the news and the doom and gloom of the day every day wearing down on us, and we might not be fearful people, but that has seeped its way into our belief system, and now all of a sudden it's part of us, and we're reacting to life in a fearful way, not because we're fearful, we actually think otherwise, but because it just made its way into this system. And we have no proof. We have no proof of everything that we're really ever taught at school. And so why do we take it in? Because we came from people we love. There's a reason for everything, and it's not good or bad. It's just the way it is, but we need to shed a lot of the things to be able to then get a new and better life. And as I've said and alluded to, we're in the time of the greatest awakening in human history. There's more people looking for answers than ever before, and so where are they going to go? Where are they going to go to find the answers to their questions that are they'll be going, I feel something, it's not right. What's not right? Or, there's lots of different ways that we all sort of come to this new realization or thingo, but it's about trying to then find a credible source. And so that credible source to give us answers to that unknown part of life is very important. And that's why I don't teach that I'm the credible source. I teach you how to ask the right questions to make sure that you are at the credible source. You have got the right energy. You are asking questions and being curious and making people prove to you that they are a credible source. Because it would be nothing worse than billions of people awakening to a greater, grander realization about themselves and then them going to charlatans and getting their money and because there's greed and people take advantage of it. But also there's lots of groups that are branded as humanitarian that have no idea, and I've only found this out by being part of them for years. Once again, no one can ever fight me on or because I've been there and experienced it and been through it and proven it and tested it on every little thing. I'm very, very detailed because I want to know. I want to know deep down at the heart what something is. So there could be a humanitarian organization and they present this picture of this and that, and it's very, and sometimes a lot of their stuff is really down that line of conspiracy theories, and they're selling you hope and promises and all this stuff with no proof whatsoever. And you've just been through that. You've just had a life of people and your belief system taking all these things with no proof whatsoever, and then you're going to get more of that. And so they're going to string you along for another 20 years or something. I meet so many people that are on that journey that have gone from Jehovah's Witnesses to believing that, you know, Trump is the savior and he's giving us mixed secret messages, and to do this, to humanitarian organizations like Connecting Consciousness that are selling false hope, making hundreds of thousands of dollars and taking 250,000 people on a ride that has never bared any fruit. Their intel has never been able to give anything solid, substantially grounded in something that they can use personally. It's all this soft woo-woo, oh, be nice to each other stuff. But in the meanwhile, you know, this hand is taking their money and making them part of this control group. So we have to ask questions, and it's right across everything. You know, there is some amazing people that I've seen out there doing energy work and providing all of these things that are amazing. Like, I mean, next level amazing, can tell you details, can give you things about you and loved ones, but you need to ask them how it works. You need to be diligent in your discernment of where you're getting that from, because as I said, I've got to where I have without spending a dollar. So I'm not telling you I'm your source. I'm telling you how to test the source, including me, how to test me, how transparency, how openness works, how not controlling the narrative works. You know, the other day I was listening to a podcast and the guy goes, oh yeah, well, you know, you're recommending these people to come on my podcast. I'll test them out first and test them whether they're going to be, you know, the right message and that. I'm talking about life. I can talk to anyone and have a conversation with anyone, and there is no controlling of any narrative of anything that I deal with. Open to everything, closed to nothing. And everybody should be having these open conversations, but everyone isn't. Why? Why would you want to guard something? Why would you want to be secretive of something if it's about, you know, the beautiful, whether it is spirituality, whether it is mentalism? There are many different parts to us, and there is good and bad in everything. And what I'm saying is we should absolutely get proof of every single thing before we move forward. And I'm no different. And there's no one presenting that to you, which is interesting. You know what I mean? That, you know, I'm really saying to you, from one human to another, and it's not about being a skeptic and being fully thinking. It's just like, okay, I'm open to it, but show me something, give me something, anything, any form of you know, spirituality where you're on your journey and you're consuming it, that there's no real solid grounded evidence or relevance. What is the relevance of someone pretending that they can, and I say pretending because there's no proof of anything, is it relevant that that you believe in someone can remote view the 3-eye atlas comet that went past and tell you what they're for and what's on it and all the rest of it? What relevance does that have in your life? Is it going to change anything? Does it make you better? Do you learn anything? Do you transmit anything? If there's nothing, then it's just, but they're taking money in the form of donations for it. So you need to weigh up why everything is happening and ask questions. And if there's no proof whatsoever, it's like people with certain generalized tarot readings. Take what resonates. Well, you know, that was a level of my spiritual advancement many, many years ago. And now it's the last thing that I would ever do is sit and listen to a generalized reading and take what's relevant for me. I've done it 1,000 times. Thank you very much. So I'm not saying that life's perfect. You've got to go through it, but you've got to learn it for yourself. And I've done it, so I'm getting some information back to you so that you can get there clearer and faster. I've done all the dirty, gritty work to get where I am. So that's all I wanted to say today. Thank you very much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure providing all this information to you. And no matter what stage you are on your journey, I wish you the very best compassion and kindness.